This is episode 4 of Business for Business, and I am here with Laurie from Doorstep Diner Catering, and we're going to hit her up with questions about how she got to where she is, what she's doing, the problems that she ran into. So, for those of you that are joining in, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, not on LinkedIn because they don't like the length of my videos. If you want to participate, leave a comment, hit me up, direct message me, drop me an email. Contact info's on all my pages. So, having said that, like I have to every video, because, if I don't remind you, you're not going to join in. Tell us a little bit about your business and what you do, Laurie.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me here today. I really appreciate this and the opportunity to tell my story. My name is Laurie Fraser, and I am one of 3 owners of Doorstep Diner Catering.
Okay.
We started with a chef and myself, and quickly realized to grow that we needed to invest in a third partner who had a skill set that neither my chef or I had. So we brought on our third partner over 2 years ago.
Nice.
We continue to experience phenomenal growth every year, and we feel incredibly blessed and honored to be a part of the Lincoln community, and that it's so well received because there are a lot of people in my industry doing a lot of great things, and we're just really happy to be one of them.
And I imagine catering is like a lot of, I guess you'd call them entry-level industries. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that think anybody can do it, and that always makes it a crowded playing field.
It's very true.
So, what was your life like before you started your business? Before you became an owner?
It's a good question. So I started my career in education, teaching sales, advertising, marketing, business management, law, not accounting, not my strong suit, but all the other aspects of business were kind of under my auspice of teaching. And during that time period, I felt in order to keep my skills sharp that I needed to be actively engaged in my field. So I ran a small consultation business for years, and I would go in and help people with big strategic planning for their business. Mm-hmm. And did I earn money? Absolutely not. So I worked with the yoga studio and I got free yoga. I worked with the music studio, I got free music lessons. I did a lot of work that was pro bono just because my passion was helping small business owners, and it gave me that opportunity to have real life examples to bring back to my students. Because if you're familiar with education, textbooks are pretty old by the time they hit the room, and kids get bored easily, so you want to make sure it's always fresh and accurate. And when I can actually point to a local business and say that business changed these things and increased their sales, then my kids had a newfound respect for what was being taught. So I've always been an entrepreneur, but going into catering was my first foray into full-time ownership. And it was a scary cliff to jump off of.
Yep.
A very scary cliff. And I did take my time to transition into being at the kitchen full-time, and I still am employed by Leva part-time. I'm helping them out with sales and membership development. And I do that because we needed to invest in our people. And while I really like cooking, I like to chop the carrot and drink the wine and talk to a friend. And that's actually illegal in a commercial kitchen. You can talk to a friend and chop the carrot, but the wine part you cannot do, and that was a deal breaker. And I didn't enjoy that part of the business at all. That's not what I do. So I realized pretty early on that I needed to find people that had that passion for prep work and for cooking. So with me stepping back and continuing to work elsewhere, I was able to not take that salary and then invest in my people who really liked that work. Did that for a couple of years, and I'll tell you what, even though I was not there in the day, the nights were long, the weekends were long. It was 2 full-time jobs, and there comes a breaking point, and that breaking point happened about a year ago where I was able to switch over and spend more of my time on my business.
Yep. It does take a lot of effort, especially if you're not going to be there during your normal operating prep area. Mm-hmm. You still gotta, if you don't have your hand on the pulse, if you're not holding your business by the throat, things can go wrong quick.
Exactly.
So, what made you decide to start your business?
Catering?
Yeah. Why that field? Out of all the other because you said you were teaching it, so all these other routes you could have gone. What made you focus on catering?
I honestly thought I would become a sales trainer because that's my passion. And I went through a divorce, and when you go through a divorce, your life is just really shaken up. And I was alone one night, and I was drinking a glass of wine, and I was on Facebook, and all my friends had these activities going on with their spouses and kids, and I thought, I'm gonna fall in this house and die, and the cats are gonna eat my flesh, and the postman's gonna get a stench and figure out that there's someone in this home. And so I put an online dating profile up, and met someone who is an incredibly talented chef through a dating site.
Nice.
And we decided to do like a little part-time kind of fun venture. We really didn't have aspirations to own a restaurant or a catering company. That really wasn't in the picture. I was at an ad agency, he was cooking full-time, but we thought this will be like a little part-time gig that we'll do.
Mm-hmm.
So we started out doing a home-based delivery service for senior citizens, keeping them in their homes healthier, happier, longer. So our clients were their adult children. And we would go in on Sundays, take in their mail, take out their garbage, clean out their fridge, put food in. And then if we noticed, signs of deterioration or aging in the loved one, then we could also alert the adult children who had hired us that, it's time to check on mom and dad. And so that was a hobby for us. And we were running that Saturdays and Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of our clients who happened to be a LEVA member said, I want you to cater a LEVA event. And we said, no, we don't do that. We're not caterers. And this person said, well, but I really like your food, and I really want to work with you, and I really think you should cater this event. And we again came back and said, that's really not who we are. We're not caterers. This is just a little side thing. And she came back and said, no, I really want you to do it. And we went, oh, okay. So we catered a breakfast. We did these beautiful French pastry tarts. They were amazing. And then phone calls started rolling in. Call after call after call after call with these French pastry tarts. And after about 6 weeks, we were like, we can make more than French pastry tarts. They're beautiful, they're delicious, but we can do more than that. Mm-hmm. So as the calls came in, we started steering people towards other items. 3 months after that initial catering job, my chef went part-time at his job because our demand was just increasing. 3 weeks after that, he quit his job completely. And I said earlier in the segment that there are a lot of people doing a lot of great things in Lincoln, and we didn't think that the demand would be there for us. And when the demand showed itself, we thought, well, we're still going to be this minor little player, and there are some big boys out there, and we're never going to be them. But as the weeks and months rolled by, it became really apparent that we were not going to be this sleepy, quiet little company, that we were actually going to become pretty big and become a force to reckon with. We play really well in our market. We love our competitors. We eat their food, they eat ours. We love it when we don't have to cook and we go somewhere else and it's catered. It's fantastic. Unless I bid the job, then I'm not happy. But we love that. So, but we again are just thankful every single day that we wake up and that we're able to provide for the livelihoods of 5 full-time people and about 10 part-timers. I mean, that's incredible.
That's a good chunk of people.
It's a good chunk of people. Mm-hmm.
So that brings me to at what point did you decide to hire employees?
Oh gosh, well, it started out the two of us, and then as we moved into catering, we knew we needed help. So we hired a part-timer to come on board to help with the prep cook and the serving. And that woman is still with us on a temporary basis, but I mean, she was our very first employee, and we're always going to be loyal to Trish. Thank you, Trish. We love her to death. But that was our first one because, like I said, we did need the help, and I'm pretty worthless in the kitchen. I'm your sales and marketing gal. I am not your kitchen gal. After we moved into our larger kitchen space, we apparent again that we needed to hire some more people. Chad was our first foray into another full-time person. He's a partner with us, but that was really our first notch at saying, okay, we're going to go big or go home, and if we're going to take this somewhere, we really need to bring on someone full-time that's going to complement our skills and can help grow this. Mm-hmm. So after Chad came on, it was like rapid fire. It was like then another part-timer, a full-timer, a part-timer. I mean, it just kept going and going and going. And we say, we're constantly hiring. We have great people, but we're constantly hiring because we're constantly growing. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that the 3 owners and our other 2 full-timers actually get a day off. It's very hard.
Yeah. Being a business owner always means you're the last one on the rotation mm-hmm. to get some time to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So, with all the hiring you're doing, how do you find good employees?
That's totally Chad. And that is really one of the reasons why we brought Chad on. If you've met my chef, he's incredibly introverted, and he leans towards the Gordon Ramsay style of management, which does not go over well. And then you have me, who I can manage people, but it's really not something I enjoy. I can do it. It's just okay. That's what made Chad tick. I mean, Chad is a people person, and Chad loves developing teams, and Chad loves watching how people interact and finding where their niche is and finding where they're going to best fit in our team. He's very, very gifted at that. In his entire restaurant career, his employees have followed him from place to place to place, and now we have them.
Nice.
They're incredibly loyal to Chad. They're incredibly loyal to us. And he just is really, really gifted at that. And again, as a business owner, you have to realize, I'm not an accountant, and I really, really don't want to do the staffing and the employee management. So you've got to find ways to remedy those weaknesses. So we hired a CFO, and we found Chad.
Nice. So, other than paying your employees more, what kind of things do you guys come up with? Because we are in a very low unemployment market, and I hear people all the time complaining about how hard it is to find employees, how hard it is to keep employees. So, you found them, other than paying them more, because that's, everybody, that is not always the answer. What else do you do to retain employees?
Free food and lots of hugs.
Lots of hugs.
No, I think it goes back to the culture that we've established. When we started out, my chef had been in food service for quite some time, and he said, food service employees don't get days off. They don't get vacation. They don't have any of these perks that a lot of people take advantage of. And I said, well, why is it that way? Because we don't have to do that. We can break the mold, and we can offer our full-time employees time off and all kinds of benefits. We're going to do that because this is our company. We don't have to follow what everyone else does. So that was the first thing we did, is to find that we're going to be different. The second thing is, because of Chad's ability to find people's talents and what makes them tick, when he finds that an employee is really excelling in one area, we give them ownership, complete and 100%. So we had an employee actually that came back from one of our vending contracts, and he said, I think I've done something you're not going to like. And one thing I learned from a very wise marketing person here in Lincoln is never say, what did you do? Say, why did you do it? And I said, okay, tell me why you did it. And he said, well, I've noticed that sales aren't very consistent where I'm at, and I notice a lot of people bring their own lunches, they don't buy lunch, and I wondered why. So what I did is I started watching the people in the crowd, and every week I would pick someone new and just say, today lunch is on me. So he said, I'm giving them a free lunch. And I said, and what's come of that? And he said, well, now they're coming to buy lunch. And I said, that's fantastic. And he said, well, I thought I would get in trouble and I didn't want to tell you. But those are the things we embrace, because that's innovation, and that's really having a customer service mindset and knowing that you have the freedom and the flexibility to make that call when you're on a job and an owner's not available. I do not have time in my day to micromanage people. I just don't do it. If an employee needs it, then they're probably not the best fit, because I just don't have time for it. I trust you to do your job. I trust you to have ownership. I trust you to make snap decisions. We had a brand new employee go to a job, and she pulled out a dish and she said, I didn't like the way it looked. And I said, okay, tell me what happened. Tell me what you did. Tell me why you did it. And she said, well, it just wasn't up to, I think, what our brand standards are. So I did this and I did that. And I said, what was the outcome? And she said, well, this happened. And I said, fantastic, keep at it. So again, I think empowering our people to use their talents and give them the freedom to know that they can do it without always having to check with us before they do it is really good for retention. We treat our people very well. We laugh, we joke, we have snacks. We do whatever we can. And when I said we give them food and hugs, that's really true. We don't reuse food. We just don't. It's not ethical. It's not the right thing to do. There are people in this town that will. Something comes back, they're going to reconstitute it and send it out somewhere else. We don't do that. We send that food home with our employees. We feed their families, we feed their friends. Take it, just because it's another benefit, and they love it. Today's employee took an entire pan of chicken enchiladas home. Okay, so does that increase my food cost? Absolutely.
But you're going to throw it away anyways.
I'm going to throw it away anyways, and now he's feeding his family. So.
And the more of these interviews with business owners I do, the more of a trend I'm seeing, and it's vastly at odds with what I hear from more established CEOs and business types. I'm hearing a whole lot of, I give my employees a lot of flexibility. I encourage them to take ownership. I want them to be able to make decisions. We try to work with them for their schedules, and, I hear a lot of that. And that is 100% what I hear from startups and small business. And when I ask bigger businesses, what are you doing? Basically the same question. And it almost always goes back to, well, we're going to raise their pay. Well, you know what? A good employee will stay at a crappy job if they like the boss. And a bad employee or a good employee, either way, will leave a job where they're not appreciated. People earn a lot of loyalty with their people by showing that they care instead of pretending that they care. Because a lot of people pretend, but if you actually have some empathy, you get a lot farther with your employees.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it strikes me like it's like I hear the same thing coming out of multiple business owners, and you guys should be paying attention to that if you're watching a bunch of these, is, you know, if every one of these successful business owners are saying the same thing, you should be paying attention.
You know, and that brings me back to, you know, there's a couple of things. I mean, I'm a big subscriber to the Gallup organization, and I've done Strength Finder a million times. But one of the things they came out with was what really motivates employees. And pay was pretty low on the list. Now, that doesn't mean that you should just solely give people culture, because, you know, culture doesn't pay the bills. So, I mean, you've got to pay them a living wage, but culture plays a really huge part of it, and a huge part. The other thing I'm not a fan in is what I call button seat. I mean, if you want me there at 8 and you got to keep me there till 5, if I'm done with what I need to do at 4:30, why am I sitting here on payroll for 30 minutes not doing anything?
Yep.
So we don't have that at the catering company, which doesn't make sense anyway. But I mean, we just don't have that. It's like, you know, if we brought you in to prep chicken enchiladas and you're done, get out. You know, you want to stay and sweep the floors, awesome. But we don't have like prescribed hours that you have to be at.
Yep.
Just don't do it.
Yep. I was the same way with a lot of the companies that I ran. I'm like, I'm paying you to do a job. When the job's done, go.
Absolutely.
I don't need you to sit here and babysit me?
Well, yeah, and you know, we have
go.
employees that have kids. They want to be able to go in the day and watch their kids do a school program. Absolutely.
Go.
You know, school's out for the day. They want to go down to Nebraska City and pick apples. Go. I mean, we just have been really, really flexible with allowing people to live their lives and be with their families.
And that's key. That's key. When that's what you can, especially as a small business, you can't always offer more money. Your competitors, the big boys, will outpay you. You have to give them a reason to stay. So, as you've been doing this, what say your 1 or 2 biggest challenges you've encountered?
Oh, okay, challenges. Well, I would say, you know, if I'm starting out, you know, my background sales and marketing, but not catering. So I really knew nothing about the industry. I didn't know how long it took to plate a meal. I didn't know what my server ratio was. Now, Google is a wonderful tool, but it only goes so far.
Yep.
So the first challenge I had was trying to figure out and get up to speed pretty quickly, because the demand was there, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't over-promising and under-delivering. So I instantly sought out 2 mentors who worked for competitors. They were no longer with the competitors. They'd been gone for about a year. But I met with them on a routine basis to ask questions about pricing and expectations and contracts. And that was fantastic, because it kind of gave me that baseline of where I needed to be. Now, I'd say the next challenge, the first year, was helping my clients set expectations. And that is, you know, every year I choose a word, which I know is really trendy right now, and I want to think I was ahead of the curve on it. But my first year was really, how do I set expectations with clients? And how do I communicate clearly what I can provide and what I expect from them? I believe that fences make good neighbors, contracts make good relationships with business partners. So I don't operate without contracts. I am very clear in my expectations, and I really don't deviate from it. Now, my first year, I did, because again, you know, as a new business owner, you're like, I need business. You take whatever's coming through the door.
I gotta make them happy.
Exactly, yeah. And so we made some mistakes, because we took some clients on where there were red flags, but we were so desperate for the income that we did it. And they ended up being nightmares. I mean, we had a woman that said, you know, I want a tasting, great, small group. Well, tastings are very expensive. I'm gonna let everyone know, tastings are expensive. So if you're gonna be out in the catering world and you wanna try food, really think about it, because as a small business owner, it takes me 5 hours to do a tasting. And that includes, you know, my prep work, my food, my equipment, the owner's time, my time. I mean, it's just all of us there to make that 1 hour magical tasting happen. So I know a lot of people go, it's fun, and they hop around and do it, but they don't realize the financial impact that it has on a business like mine. I'm not a restaurant. I don't have food in my fridge. I cook to spec. So when you come in for your tasting, I've purchased that food that morning. So, I mean, it is very, very expensive. So that's been a challenge for us, is like, how do we help it with the expectations? So this client came in and said, well, we only have 50 people, but we require a tasting. Okay, so we said fine. And then the client said, well, we're gonna bring 4 people and we're coming at noon. Okay, your tasting isn't lunch. It's a bite. It is not lunch. I'm not feeding you lunch. And it was the client, her husband, business partner, and his wife. And I'm like, okay. So they came in, we did the tasting, and then they were upset because they wanted to see what it would look like as a full portion. again, I'm not feeding you lunch. A tasting is just that. And so there were just red flag after red flag after red flag. And I kept saying to my partner, Chad, we got to let him go. We got to let him go. This is not good. We got to let him go. And he said, no. And this is one thing I learned. Let the client walk away. So, and that was very hard for me to do because we had invested hours and I just wanted to be done. And he said, let the client walk away. And the client did walk away. And so they were able to hold their head high and say it was our decision not to use us. And they didn't lose face, but that's been a very tough one for me to learn, is how to set those expectations and then be prepared to let the client walk away, or conversely, let the client go.
Yep. Some prices are too high, one. I mean, you have to value your time, your effort, and your reputation.
Yes.
And if you've got a bad client situation starting, it's going to end poorly. And when it ends poorly, they're going to feel justified in leaving you a negative review and leaving negative comments and talking bad about you. Whereas if you would have just let them go, that's the end of the story. What are some of the things that took you by surprise? Not necessarily the challenges, just like you're running a business and, I didn't expect this, or what happened,
I don't think it really hit Jeff and I, my other partner, that we actually owned a business until about 2 years ago. It just felt like this fantasy thing that wasn't really true. And when we had moved into our new kitchen and put our commercial hood in and we bought delivery vehicles, and I think we both woke up one day and went, oh my God, we're business owners. So that was one thing. It took a while to get there. But I think the thing that has really taken us by surprise is the demand in Lincoln. We've been really, really well received in this town, and we grew by 425% last year.
Nice.
And that is an absolute incredible number. I could not have foreseen that happening. My goal in running a business is I should be profitable within 6 months or I'm out the door. And we have been very, very fortunate because the home delivery service was profitable within 3 months. The catering company was profitable within 6. When we opened our event space, we hit the 6-month mark, it became profitable. So, it's been fantastic. It's been a great ride. But again, I just think that there's so many people in Lincoln that cater. Everyone caters. Every restaurant, every coffee shop, everyone. People out of their homes, which is illegal. But there's so many caterers out there.
Wait, and is that how you started?
No.
Catering at your home?
No, we always had a commercial kitchen. Yep, we used to rent. Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
We rented a very small shared space for a very limited period of time. Lost it. Had to pull back. Had to take down the website and everything for health department. And then we rented from a bar and grill. So we were there for over a year before we got our big kitchen.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've always been in a commercial space, just because we do follow the law. You have to do it. Exactly. And the last thing you want to do is make someone sick with your food, and then they come back and go, "You're in your kitchen?" Yeah. No, I'm not. No. Yeah. And then we've never made anyone sick, but yeah, I think the biggest surprise is that the phone calls keep coming in. There are days where Chad will field anywhere from 30 to 60 or 70 phone calls a day, and if you factor out 8 hours, that's the phone constantly ringing. And when I call into Chad, I'll be like, "Hey Chad, what?" And I'll try to tell him a bad joke, and he'll go, "Gotta go." And he's probably getting me off the phone for the joke, but actually he's not, because his phone is ringing. So it's just constant phone calls coming in. And again, we are just really, really blessed that phone keeps ringing.
Nice.
But we're also smart enough to know that, even though the phone rings now, what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, or when the recession hits. So we're constantly, searching, but right now the phone's ringing.
And you know what, that's all it takes right now. So a lot of business owners, a lot of startup businesses and entrepreneurs, one of the things that they don't fully realize is the effect being a business owner is going to have on their personal life. So what effect did becoming a business owner have on your personal life?
Oh my gosh! Well,
because statistically, and I like throwing this one out here, is our divorce rate as business owners is well in excess of 80% in the first 5 years, and most of them that I've ever met are single and don't have many friends or family anymore. So
it's true,
and that's after they started. They were good before that, but after that, that's why I always ask this one, because that's the biggest surprise most of them run into is, oh my God, once my business came first, I didn't understand.
Yeah. It is definitely an interesting ride. My initial business partner, Jeff, is also my significant other. So that has been very difficult for us to learn how to separate business from personal. And we do not do a very good job of it. We actually fail very, very miserably at that part of it. And I think because it's our passion and it's in our blood. So while he's in the kitchen all day, I'm out and about with appointments with clients. If I am in the kitchen, I'm in my office. I only go into the kitchen when I need my little extrovert break to talk to people or I want a snack. Other than that, I'm pretty much in my office. So even though we talk during the day, it's not constant. But the minute we get home and we're eating dinner, we're talking about the food that went out that day. We're talking about the client. We're talking about an employee. It's what we do. So we've worked really hard at trying to find diversions. Like we have tickets to the Lead Center. Well, I can't talk about, the snap peas that went out if I'm watching Phantom of the Opera. So we try to find some things that are really specific that take our brains completely away from the business. We both like to travel. The problem is when we travel, of course, we love to eat. So we find great restaurants, and then what do? Well, what is in the sauce, and how did they make this? And I like the way it's plated, and here's a picture, and then we talk to the owner. And so we are not very, very good at carving out personal space from the business. But I think that both of us love the business so much, and it's what makes us tick, that it's okay for us to do that. So the biggest problem outside of just being in a relationship with your partner is the fact that your social life tanks.
Yes.
It tanks.
So you don't buy into the whole work life split now?
No.
That you have to separate them and make them two separate things? I think that's incredibly unhealthy mindset. That life is just life, and if it's your passion and someone expects you to shut off your passion when you walk out that door, I think that's an incredibly unhealthy mindset.
I agree. And I know there are people that subscribe to the email thing of, I'll email them and it comes back and it says, I only respond to email at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can't do that. I cannot do that, because when people are looking for box lunches, they're Googling box lunches, and I'm going to pop up first because I just checked yesterday. And they're going to call me, and if they don't get a hold of me, they're calling the next person and the next person and the next person. So last night I'm in Omaha with friends listening to some music, having some wine, and this thing went off. I don't know how many times. It was on silent, but I'm checking my email and I'm responding, and my friend said, you need to put that away and be present. And I said, this is my livelihood, and this person has a question that I need to answer now, because millennials and Gen Z expect it immediately. And if I'm going to be competitive at my advanced age, I have to adapt to their communication style, and I am going to be responsive. And when we started the company and we got our 866 number, we said we will answer that phone. When we transferred it over to Chad as the primary person, again, you will answer that phone. Does it get tedious? Yes, you're taking phone calls at dinner time and at breakfast, and you take phone calls all the time, but that's the number one thing we hear from our clients is, you are so responsive, you are so easy to work with, you answered our questions, you put us at ease. We have competitors that don't give out their phone numbers. What?
Well, and one of the biggest things that people are finding out now is that if someone calls you, you basically have an hour. And that's in non-instant gratification industries. You basically have an hour to call back. Now, if they text you or email you, that line goes down to about 10, 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
If you haven't responded in that period, guess what? You ain't making that sale.
Exactly. And even if we don't have the answer, we respond back. Hey, I'm at the Lead Center. Hey, I'm at a catering job. Hey, we let them know, I got your request, I'm going to be on it, I just can't do it right now. I mean, that's really important to us. And when I search out vendors to do business with me, the number one thing I say is, I'm a pain in the butt. And when I email, I expect a response, because I move quickly. And if I don't get my answer right away, I'm going to go find someone else that will give it to me. So just to let you know ahead of time, if you're going to be one of my vendors, you got to be really responsive, because my clients expect it, I expect it, you got to provide it.
Let's talk about your clients. How do you find them? I mean, you say the phone rings, the phone rings. Something makes the phone ring.
Well, our number one strategy is putting our phone number in, bathroom stalls, because, that's effective. No, we don't do a lot of paid advertising.
Dinner
call Chad. No. We don't do a lot of paid advertising. And coming from the advertising world, you would think that would not make sense. But when we first started, we didn't have any money. We weren't buying equipment, and it's expensive. So we just didn't have the cash flow to invest in the kind of advertising that would give me the consistent, visual presentation that I needed. So we relied heavily on social media when we started. My chef was hilarious. well, Laurie, we're not getting phone calls off Facebook. No, it's not going to work that way. It's going to take time. So the strategy that we used were our personalities. My chef is very introverted. I am the exact opposite. And when we first started the company, I was very active in LIBA and Chamber and the East Lincoln Business Association, the American Marketing Association. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And so I was talking to people, hey, we're going to start this. What do you think we should name it? What do you think my logo should be? So people really felt like they were in the inside track of this thing that was going to grow. And they really were, because I really wanted their opinions. When we first designed our business card, I mean, I was so proud. It was terrible, but I was so proud to show it to people, because it was like, our name is in print on a piece of paper. And so I showed it to people. And then we refined it and did another one, and I showed it to them. And then we launched the website, and I showed it to people. So we had an extensive referral network with word of mouth that was already in existence before we started pumping food out the door. So that was the number one thing. Now, I can put an ad in the Journal Star. I can run a commercial on TV. I can do those things. But at the end of the day, I'm my best salesperson. And I have a lot of passion for my company. I absolutely love it.
Yep.
So when I'm talking to someone and they say, tell me about what you do, I'm like, oh my God, I get to provide food every day. I provide experiences. Here's a photo of what I did. I mean, that comes through. And that is what gets people hooked.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I really don't sell food. I sell an experience. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that any person I come into contact with understands that that's my thing. I'm selling you an experience, and it's going to be fantastic. And this is the face behind it. So if something goes right, I'm going to take credit. If something goes wrong, I'm going to own it. I mean, it's me at the end of the day, and it's Chad and it's Jeff. And we just put our money where our mouth is. So we are just out there actively talking. Now, as we've grown, we have done some additional advertising. We're on the digital billboard around town, the truck. And can we link any direct sales from it? No. But what I can say is that during the time period it ran, people said, oh my God, you're everywhere. You're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. So I did like that. We had a video produced by Digital Sky, and that was just an amazing experience. And so I believe in the power of video to tell our story. We do direct mail, which again, as a marketer, I would say is dead. But in Lincoln, direct mail does well.
I like direct mail.
Yeah, I do
and
too.
I'm not even all that old school, but I know what works in my business.
It does work. And I'm a firm believer, because most people will say, don't do direct mail unless you're going to advertise a sale. No. What we do has value. Mm-hmm. And we've been trained in the pizza industry that we don't buy full price pizza. There's always a coupon. There's always a special. Yep. So we have been trained to do that and to look for sales.